Voices from the Mausoleum is brought to you by the You Run Podcast Network and yourunpodcast.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum. You saw the title correct. You recognized the background. But where's the guest? It's Steve.
It's me.
Steve has been an official co-host of Voices for almost a year, and we've not done his influential horror. So tonight, that's what we're doing. Steve's top 5 influential horror and why he picked them.
And none of them will be shocking to anyone who watches this channel.
Yes, there's only one on here. So I knew probably 4 of the 5, but there's one on here that even though I knew you had mad love for the movie, I didn't actually know it was going to make this list. So that'll be interesting to get to. If you've not seen the series, it's a series where we have all kinds of horror fans come on and just pick 5 of their most influential horror movies and why they chose them, why they were influential, whether it's to the genre, to them, if they have special memories, if it, pertains to their craft, if they're a writer or a filmmaker, that kind of thing. And so that's what we're going to be diving into tonight with Steve. Yeah, 4 of the 5. I'll be curious when we get to the one I did. I'm a little surprised it's on here. Not because I didn't know that you loved it, because I did. But
yeah, okay. I feel like I know.
It's not the first one we're doing, but it's the second one we're doing. I knew that you loved it. I just didn't. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't know it was
okay.
Make like the list. So your first one, again, as Steve said it best, if you've been watching along, this is not going to be any surprise to you, is X.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this one surprised me too. Why? For as far as it being like in a top 5 movies for me.
Yeah.
And I think because it was a great first theater experience.
Okay.
It was a great first watch experience. It was me and one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Also named Steve. We went and saw this March of 22 together. And this was the first time I sat in a horror movie, and it brought back like the feeling of watching like a slasher for the first time.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
It was such like it just sort of like it just brought back like watching like Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw, Halloween, like watching those for the first time. I felt like it captured the aesthetic so well. It was like sex and murder, and it had all these things from like the 70s and 80s. And I was like, but like with a modern lens, and like the mess, like to use a lot of these tropes from the era to talk about a lot of things that we're still talking about today in terms of like expectations on women and sexually, and using sort of like the porn industry to talk about that too, which is, I feel like it goes hand in hand with horror anyway, with all the tropes that we see out there and the way they use sex and the genre. But I thought it had a little bit of a brain to it. Thought the kills were really fun. Those like beautifully shot. I did not know that Mia Goth was playing 2 characters. I was like, by the end of it, I was like, is that the same person? What? It like that blew my mind.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Even though she's great in it, I really loved Brittany Snow in this movie. She's actually my favorite character from this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I love Mia Goth, but like I just think this character was just really cool. She's one of the porn actors. And she has like some really great monologues about sexuality and a lot of the shame and guilt that people feel. And then she has this really awesome, she's got a beautiful voice too. She's from Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
Hairspray. And she does a cover of Landslide by Fleetwood Mac that is just beautiful. And I'm sitting there next to my friend, I'm like actually crying because like it was just, her voice is so good, and the way they edited with like it was like a lot of like cross cuts, and then it's Pearl like in the barn, and she's like, she's like this older woman, and so she's like doing her makeup, doing her hair, and it's sort of like it's about beauty and aging. It's done. I was like, oh man, this is like this was like a villain you could really, because obviously this is before the prequel, so we didn't know the
sure this was the only version of her that we knew. Yeah.
And so like you're starting to really sympathize. I think this is before she starts to kill anybody. So you're starting to really sympathize with this like older woman who is like trying to like, regain a sense of like beauty and feeling confident about her body. And I'm like, oh, it was just so good. It hit me in the feels.
Yeah. And when you say like going back to the theater, is that just like because of COVID, like
Oh, that's true
post-COVID?
too.
Like, okay, so that's why I was asking,
I
was
was
that
trying
what
to
you
think,
meant? Or
was this my first movie back after? So everything shut down in 2020. No, probably not, because 21 was we
oh,
were
this came out in 22. That's right. Okay, okay.
my first experience back. When I mean like back to the theater of like, I mean, I guess it's still within the year.
But you mean like, I see what you mean though, but you just mean like first experiences.
Like, oh, this was a great first watch. This was a great, and this made
Yeah.
me feel like I was experiencing like a classic horror for the first time.
I gotcha. I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know because of the proximity if it was like related to like everything being shut down and stuff.
That's
Cause
true too. I mean, it came at a really good time too, because there was definitely like a
Mhm.
hunger for going back to the
Yeah,
movies.
because that's really kind of when things started getting more normal. Like it
Yeah,
took
to get back.
late into 2021 for things to start kind of heading in that direction. So
Yeah, people were still like, even though this was like early 22, people were still sort of keeping distance anyway. People were still like wearing masks, if they felt uncomfortable. Theaters
yeah.
really were not packed, and I think it did really well, considering the budget was very small anyway.
Hmm.
So this was like one of like the first like I guess big successes for horror since the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think one of the last movies I saw
Mhm.
before everything shut down, I think was The Hunt, which was like the thriller horror movie with it was like the rich people catching all like the poorer people and making them like hunt each other, or like not hunt each other, so they were getting hunted. It was like it's kind of political, it was almost purgy. um
Sounds very purgy. I don't think I saw that one because
yeah.
I think my last, I honestly, I don't even remember. That whole timeline is a blur, but
I know. But
mm,
yeah, obviously, not going to have to go, man, and the trilogy is wonderful. I mean, the funny thing is like I think X is my favorite out of the three. The other
mhm.
two are beautiful films, really well
Yeah.
made, great performances. I think X did the best as far as like its like thesis, its messaging, and like what it like the point it was trying to make.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's his first time on here.
And an influence, yeah. And well, the reason why I was surprised is because I rarely put like
New.
newer movies in
I
my
think
top.
that's why it hasn't been. I imagine in 5 years when we're still doing this series, it'll start to peak. It'll start to show up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like
Although I haven't done Cats. I don't think. Have I done Cats yet?
I thought you meant the movie Cats. I was like that, that counts as a horror movie in my book.
No. No, like velour. Cat velour. Um, okay, so the next one is the one that I obviously, again, I know that you have love for this because I have love for this too. We've talked about it, but I was surprised that The Haunting
Yeah.
was on your list. Yeah.
This is a real nostalgic film for me because
Mhm.
this was one that I watched for the first time with my mom, and it was just
Oh,
something that we bonded over. She really likes it.
okay.
And I sort of, and I really, this because this movie gives me like real like, I think between like Nell's character and Theo's character, there's like a lot of like motherly energy. And I think because I watched it with my mom, and then I almost like saw
I
parts of
see.
my mom in Nell because she's such a protector of like, especially towards the end of the movie, like
Mhm.
she's doing it for the kids that are left.
Yeah, she's trying to make their life better or trying to get them freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, so like there's just like this like strong mom energy from the movie, and I think it just always like gives me like that feeling. When I watch this movie, I go back to being like that kid.
Mhm.
Watching this with my mom for the first time, and I think it holds up. I mean, some of the CGI is a little dated,
But
but
the
that's
rest of
okay.
the set pieces,
That's
though,
the
are
thing
one
is,
of the strongest things in this
yeah,
film.
like the only like yeah, because the only CGI that doesn't really hold up is I guess like the little like cherub spirits, right? But like the children's
They
spirits,
did
but
those
like
a lot, though.
what they do
They
them a
did
lot.
those a lot.
I know. They almost remind me of, remember the ghost of Christmas Past in the Muppets?
I do, with the
Remember
big
that? That's
tree.
what those remind me of.
Yes, I can picture him very clearly in
The
my
little like
head.
white, like the little child one, the past one.
Yes,
Wait, is
yes,
the
yes.
past? Was the past? Present's the big guy. Future's obviously the Grim Reaper.
Yes, Future's Grim
Yeah, yeah.
Reaper.
For those, I'm gonna see if I can find a picture.
That's funny
Um,
though.
let's see, Muppets Christmas present. Muppets Christmas present. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we covered this on remakes, and Scott was like, he
I know.
tore it apart.
The Haunting. I
Yeah.
mean, why?
Well, he's very anti CGI, and CGI is rough. But at the time that that came out, that was oh, I was thinking of the big guy.
I mean, horrifying.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think for the time frame, right, that this came out, that was, I mean, that was like
It's how CGI was in in '99, right?
I just, it's fine to say like, oh, it doesn't hold up, but I don't think it takes away from anything else. I don't think it takes away from the story. I don't think it takes away.
Mhm.
Now, Owen Wilson, I think, is another weakness of the film. But other than that, but
Wow.
I think that, I think that that Nell and Theo steal the show. I think the set pieces, God, Steve,
Well, I think of
that
like the
scene.
claw, like the bed
Oh,
looks great. I mean, I always think of like the books in the water.
in the
And
what? That I was just about to say that when they're like jumping across them, I would that is
yeah.
incredible. And then what are those? What is it called when it's like an atrium? No, what is it called? It's like a greenhouse, but it's not quite a greenhouse where it had the
Oh, the
big
spiral
thing.
staircase and then
Yes,
the
and the
fountain.
statue in the water.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Really
stunning.
is a beautiful movie as far as like that set.
God,
Um I mean the lion bellow thing, the fireplace lion head.
the pendulum thing.
Yeah. I guess that's supposed to clean it. I don't even well, or decapitate people.
Or decapitate people. It's multifunctional. Sorry if these are spoilers. This movie came out in the 90s. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's no, the set is
I'm gonna
unbelievable.
have to
Like
watch it before bed tonight.
unbelievable.
It's been a minute. But like, yeah, I mean, oh, so one of my favorite parts of the movie is early on. It's when the assistant gets whipped in the
And the
face with the
with
piano
the
cord.
piano cord.
Oh man, that gets me every time.
I
And
know,
it's
and it works so well.
her reaction is so believable, that actress, right? I'm like, oh, and she's like
That
crying with the
sound she
blasting.
makes. Oof,
Oof, that gets me.
I agree.
But like, yeah, I think it's a beautiful story. It made me a fan of Lily Taylor. She's one of my favorites.
She's amazing in horror. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think
Yeah.
yeah, there are like big points to it. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, as you know, I think I don't think there's a version of the story that doesn't slap. I mean, obviously, I think I tend to, in the big scheme of things, I guess I prefer the show, but
Sure.
this movie, and of course the original.
I think the show is the scariest, the darkest, and the deepest.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's because it's told through a modern lens. You also get way more time to tell the story because it's a
Mm-hmm.
series. It's Mike Flanagan. I mean, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. And I mean, I saw it when we got ready to cover it on remakes. I had that was the first time I'd watched the original and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like it was so good. This is almost step for step. Like there's even lines that are the same.
Yeah.
Like what's her name's the house lady, I can't think of her name.
Oh,
But her little
yeah,
her little thing about it in the dock, like her whole like thing
yeah,
like that she does, that was like line for line in the original.
in
But
the night,
anyway, yeah.
in
No,
the night.
I wasn't expecting it to be on your influential list. I knew you loved it.
Yeah, it's such a feel good movie for me.
I love it. No, it was super good. It was super fun to revisit for remake. So I'm totally
Yeah,
with you on that one.
and we brought it up too during our Queer Live as well because I think the Theo character and the evolution of that character's queerness is like so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we also talked about it because it was one of the earliest representations I saw of a queer character in horror
Hmm.
specifically.
Yeah,
At a time when I never saw that, and you knew, I mean, the kind of house I grew up in as far as that
right,
goes.
right.
So, um, yeah, a bit of like an awakening because like, oh, wait a second. That is something. You know what I mean? Like it's weird.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, no, it's a great movie. I love it. I don't understand why it's not like everybody's favorite. It's good.
yeah.
The next one is everybody's favorite. What's,
Not,
oh,
not everyone. I know some haters, and which is always shocking when I hear it.
yeah, I just pretend that doesn't exist. The Shining, and great
Yeah.
timing too, because we just lost Shelley Duvall.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
Rest in
It's
peace.
yeah, her whole career and everything that went on with her as well is like very it's hard
Yeah,
to it's a hard story. But
yeah.
her performance in this is like oh, and this was another one I
Bar
saw her
none.
just like bar none, like one of the greatest horror performances. I mean both of them. Nicholson
Yeah,
and Shelley Duvall. Just like some of the best performances in horror ever.
yeah. Wow.
Um but this was another one I saw early and probably with my mom too. A lot of the early introductions to horror were with my mom, even though she's not like a huge horror person. She likes it.
Yeah.
Um, but it just was sort of like she saw that I was getting interested in it, so she would watch it with me, and then so they were just sort of bonding experiences. And it was definitely on. I think I saw it on TV for the first, and with commercials, forget it. This is 3+ hours long. This movie.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like a real afternoon affair.
It's like a whole, yeah, because they used to show this on this one and the other one. They used to show this on a miniseries month on the Sci-Fi Channel
Yeah.
because it was so long. They would use that to show like this, Rose Red,
Mhm.
Kingdom Hospital, like all of the Stephen
Oh,
King,
yeah.
It, all
Mhm.
of the Stephen King stuff because when they were translated into films, they were long.
Yeah. And
So
then so they could definitely fill up, like, a long, like, TV spot.
yeah.
And I still have not seen the actual miniseries for The Shining. Um,
With that other guy.
what's his name? Steve I think his name's Steven something.
Yeah.
Um, he's in Reefer Madness,
Oh,
which is
is
one of
it?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, so yeah, I mean, obviously, beautiful performances, beautiful cinematography. I always find something new about this movie every
Yeah.
time I watch it.
Yeah.
Like, just down to like the detailing in the hotel,
Mhm.
um, references to like the indigenous people in the area that I had not like sort
Oh,
of
okay.
noticed before as well. It's a lot of it's like in the decor, and I'm always was wondering if in some way they were mirroring a lot of the horrors that happened to the indigenous people of the area. Like there's like little references to it, and they talk about the land and they talk about the people. Like it's like very subtle.
Yeah, there's like research papers and science papers written about this movie. Like
Yeah.
the amount of stuff that went into making it the way that it was, the map of the way the Overlook is set up based on the way the film is shot. Like it's correct. Like it's a lot. There's a documentary called Room. Oh, does it go based off the one in the book or the movie? I can't remember.
Oh,
But anyway, but the name of it is The Room, and
yeah.
it's either the room from the room number from the book or the room number from the movie. I can't remember. But either way, but it's anyway, but it kind of dives into all of that. I mean, it's a bit of a rabbit hole, honestly, but it's
Yeah.
really crazy. It's cool.
Like there's so many things you could like break apart. Like we did bits of The Shining in one of my film classes, and the it was a directing class.
Yeah.
And the director was the professor was making the point is the scene when he really kind of flips and he's going at Wendy and she's
On the
like, stay
stairs.
away from me with the bat and
Yeah.
the between the music, the angles, if you were to watch it on the big screen, it was actually designed to make you feel nauseous. Based on like the way it's shot and like the music is supposed to sort of set you off and it really, yeah, like, I forgot all the details as far as like why
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
specifically,
But that's crazy.
but it's
Yeah.
supposed to like kind of put you on off, off kilter, kind of make you uneasy, and then I don't know if there's like the frequency in the music too.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's just so many iconic bits. And funny enough, like I think it also has a perfect sequel in Doctor Sleep, which is again, I know another Mike Flanagan thing, but like
Daughter Sleep was great.
that's a rare thing to see.
Yeah, especially given the time difference because the book
Mhm.
wasn't written until 2018,
The
2017.
Doctor Sleep was in 2018 or 20. It was like maybe 16,
Okay.
and
Either
then
way though, but the time difference between
between
The
you're right,
Shining and then this. And so
yeah.
even though the movies are far apart, but Doctor Sleep didn't come out that much longer. I mean, after the book, but it did come out a long ass time
Yeah.
after the original, and the original is so iconic. Like it's a horror staple for many people. I think it's one that like there's probably the clusters where you're like not allowed to say you don't like it. I think it's
Mhm.
like Scott from You Run's like #1 horror film of all time or something like that. Like it's
Yeah.
held in very high regard.
I
Very.
mean, I get like there's stuff in the book that people are upset were left out, or at least like the focus is obviously a little
Yeah.
bit more on.
There's a
I
lot
think
of changes.
there's a little
Yeah, like
changes. I think they lean a little bit more heavier on like the alcoholism and like the abuse side of things.
and the twins weren't in the book, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff, but it
Mhm.
was fine. It works.
Well, I think it's fine. It's its own
That's what
thing.
adaptations are supposed to do. They're
Yeah,
supposed to make it unique in a new way for people who have read the source material or seen the source material. So
yeah. And I
that's
had
great.
not read the book till many years later after having
Yeah. It
watched
is
the.
one of only 2 Stephen King books I've ever read because I really do not care for his writing. I like
Yeah,
his stories. I do not like his
his
writing.
prose. Yeah, I hear that a lot. You know,
Yeah,
I
so
don't
The
think you're wrong.
Shining, what was the and the other book was Pet Cemetery,
Yeah, yeah.
of all the ones to read. But anyway, those are the 2 that I read.
It's a shorter read, right? But is it a little more of like a novella size? No,
Pet Cemetery?
yeah, or is it more full? I can't remember how long that book is. I don't think I've heard
No,
it.
I think it's a full novel,
It's
but
full.
I remember it being kind of thick.
Okay, I don't. Yeah, I don't remember.
It's been 20 years, but you know,
Yeah, I haven't read a lot. A lot. I mean, I definitely read Shining, Cujo, Carrie, Doctor
I
Sleep.
should read Carrie just because of my love for that movie, but
Yeah,
I really just do not like his but you know what? I feel the same way about Anne Rice. Love her
yeah.
stories, hate her writing.
I think that's fair.
Anyway,
You know,
and then
it's also very
and
like.
then this episode goes out and Angel's canceled.
Well, you know, it's very, because they got started around the same time, right? 70s writers,
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
the way they, you wrote your prose in the 70s was very different. And I don't think they ever quite left that style of
No, of
presenting
course not.
stories,
He's been doing it for how long at this
you
point?
know?
Yeah.
Although I will say, I mean, he's changed some. I do think like Doctor Sleep reads very different than The Shining.
Oh,
Um,
I
his
feel like it would have to, right?
You'd have to. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think his style has changed. You might like a little bit more of the contemporary stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know. But yeah, I'm don't have anything else to say other than it just sort of being a shining love fest.
I just really like it.
I just really love it. Yeah, I think I said some of my favorite bits about it. I think and I love that you could still sort of the way it's left. People are still debating
Oh
what the
my God, I
final
know.
shot means of him in the photo, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, and not even that, but like you can have conversations. You've seen this movie, 50 times, right? And then you have a conversation with someone who's seen it, 48 times, and they notice something that you didn't, or they have like a
Mhm.
thought or a theory or something that comes up, and it's just you can endlessly talk about it, endlessly, and
Yeah.
it's really unique in that way, I think.
Yeah, and just so many angles you could tackle it from
Yeah.
too.
Oh
Um,
yeah. No, for
from
sure.
the family dynamic, from the more of like the hotel's evil, and like
Yeah.
one of one of the not few deaths, but like one of my most depressing deaths
Mhm.
with Dick Halloran. I'm like, I love that character so much.
I know.
So much. But oh wait, there was a point that someone made. I don't know if I was listening to a podcast
Mhm.
or something. I
Yeah.
think we were talking. Maybe we talked about this. Did we talk about like what his death meant to the movie? Like in terms of like the power of like okay. So if you
Mhm.
notice, is like once he kills Halloran,
Yeah.
his power, everything
Yeah.
goes. Everything is that's when everything goes crazy in the hotel.
Right.
Like that's when like Wendy's able to see the ghosts.
Yep.
So this idea of like the hotel lured someone powerful in The Shining, so that way and die in there to give the hotel the power to
The
like
more power.
fully
Yeah.
manifest. And that's sort of when everything goes wild.
Crazy. Yeah. Because in the book, it burns down, does it not?
So Jack takes over. He's able to sort of like overcome the
Right. And
influence,
then, yeah, yeah, yeah,
and he
yeah.
blows it.
Okay.
And he like messes with the furnace.
And then it makes it basically like it just goes up in flames. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And which is interesting is because and then in the doctor's sleep, they still go back to the grounds of the hotel, but they don't go in the hotel, obviously, because it's gone.
But they do in the movie because in the
In the
other
movie, it's
movie,
still
they didn't burn it down. They kept
yeah.
true to that original, which I think was probably smart, honestly. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and then they burned it down to sort
Yeah,
of
it
bring it
kind of
back.
like went full circle. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because for people who have been watching that movie their whole lives, like I've been watching this movie my whole life. Like when you go in back in, you're like, oh, like immediately. And they did such a good job with it. It looked
Mhm.
so good.
Oh, man, I'm gonna have to just do all these rewatches. Now that I'm talking about my favorite movies, I'm like, just marathon. Take a whole day off to myself and just watch all these
Just watch
movies.
all these. Um,
Well,
well, the last two people already know what they are, but
mm,
we'll go through them.
yeah,
So the next one, of course, is Halloween.
yeah. So this is
Steve,
probably
Steve and Halloween go like hand in hand.
well, yeah, I mean, we just did a live on
We
it.
just did Halloween, yeah.
You could see my little Halloween stuff back here.
Michael,
I
yep.
didn't even point out I got Jack and Wendy right here.
Oh, I see
Uh,
them.
yeah, and then Stephen Gitter's Pennywise back there. Oh, and Carrie. I don't think you can see Carrie, but she's over here too.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I
a
have a
lot of things
Carrie.
about
She's in a box though.
I take all mine out of the box. Well, I haven't taken Carol Ann out of the box yet.
Oh,
I don't even know. But anywho, yeah, Halloween. This was again like one of those early. A lot of these films I saw besides X, I saw for the first time probably with my mom. So there's
yeah.
heavy
There's
just family nostalgia.
yeah,
Halloween. I think I saw the edited. I think I mentioned this on the live. Sort of like what Norrin was saying. I think I saw it on AMC around
yep.
Halloween time.
Hmm.
Edited for TV. So when I saw it on VHS for the first time, I was very shocked to see Judith.
Oh, right.
I was like, I don't remember that because they block it with the mask.
You
They like,
can't see it in the TV version. Yeah.
yeah, because it's hollow in the unedited, but so you don't see her body. They put like a little black between the eye holes of the
Yeah.
clown mask. So all I knew was like it was blocked. So I was like, what? So I'm a kid. I'm looking at my mom like, can I see this? What? But yeah, I mean, I think especially as a kid, it's like it's so funny. Like people talk about movies holding up or not holding up. I don't
Yeah.
know if it was like a millennial thing. Like I remember being a young kid and loving older stuff. Like nothing felt. I mean, granted, at that point, Halloween was only we're talking the '90s, so Halloween was only 20 something, right? Because H2O came out in the '90s, so it was only 20, really 20 a 20-year-old movie,
Mhm.
which is oh god, it was only 20 years old. Now we're talking it's 45 years old,
Oh, dang.
right? So it was
Yeah.
only half of what it is now age-wise when we
Right.
were little. So
Yeah.
it didn't feel that old,
No.
because I'm watching it and I'm like, these people were my parents' age. Like it
Do
didn't
you
like
have older siblings?
no, I'm the oldest.
You are the oldest.
So
So
my
I have siblings that are old enough to be my parents.
oh,
And
okay.
so for me, one of the reasons that that is so very true is because the people showing it to me, it was like a big deal to them. Like because
Yeah.
they saw it when it was newer. Like they didn't have to see it in the like by the time, you know what I mean? Like they were substantially younger at the time that they got to see it before I was probably even conceived. And then, they get to share it later as they're a little bit older. And then I don't know, it's like
Yeah.
it just feels different. It's like,
Well, yeah, it was like Lori is pretty much so my parents were born. My dad was 62, my mom is 63. So class of 80 and 81. So Lori was what class of 78. So like these are I mean, essentially these were like my parents' age, like these characters, and I was like, what so it didn't feel
yeah,
old, like
yeah,
you know.
it's a good point.
So like and yeah, so it's so funny, and then I always think of people sort of complain about pacing, and it's like, I guess we get this kids these days.
You don't understand.
Yeah, So I mean, it's funny. I'll be like, when I show Andy, my son, some of my favorites, it's going to be like, well, these were movies from your grandparents' time, which is kind of
Right. And just kind of carrying on
now it's
the
going to feel a little bit older to him probably because he's like, this is
oh
me and your
God. Yeah,
Dubs
because
movies.
well, and not to mention what is true is yes, there were advances in filmmaking by the time we got to this movie, but not the same as the
No,
gap between Halloween and like Halloween ends. You know what I
right,
mean? like the jump in technology and filming techniques and director styles from that time to from the end of the 70s into the 2020s, like
Yeah.
that's such a big jump. It's completely different. Completely
Sure.
different.
Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
this, it didn't feel that dated, you know.
No. No.
Like which is funny because I think about like, let's think back to like a 20-year-old movie now and then what, Mean Girls? Like what?
It came out that long ago? Jeez.
2004. Yeah. So, or what was a horror movie in 2004? The Ring?
Oh, Cursed, the werewolf movie.
Cursed, right?
Perfect Creature, which is a vampire movie.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that one. I only know those two because we just covered them on Curse Beings. I'm
Yeah.
like, I never know. I never remember when movies came out. I'm
Saw
like,
is 20 years old. That was '04.
what was?
Saw.
It was 2004.
Yeah,
I
that's a
didn't see it
20-year-old
in
movie.
2004, but yes, it's 2004.
Yeah. I mean, wild. So anyway, all that to say is like, yeah, no, I love this movie too. I was obsessed. This was sort of the one. I mean, obviously, my most influential got me into horror. This one got me into slashers.
Yeah,
I
it
think
makes
once I saw Halloween, then I knew there
sense.
were like at that point, 7 of them, almost 8, right? I think like there was sort of the build up to Resurrection. I remember that, and it was the early days of the internet. So I'm like on like I don't know what was it. I guess Google was. I don't even know. I
I
was
don't remember.
I was on
Yahoo?
HalloweenMovies.com and I was like looking at all like the image stills of all the movies, and they had little bios about like the characters. I think it was HalloweenMovies.com. It was like their official website at the time.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think I told this story during the Halloween live. Like my grandfather would just give me a $10 bill. I'd go to like Hollywood Video and I'd be like, give it to me, give me my fix, and it'd be like all the Halloweens on VHS, all the Nightmare on Elm Street. So this really sort of got me into the mass killer slasher sort of obsession.
They just let you get those movies?
They didn't like. I don't even know if my grandfather. Yeah, I don't know if he went in with me.
That's what
Um,
I'm picturing you being like barely above the counter, being like, "Give me this Halloween movie."
I was a tall kid though. You know,
Oh, okay. Well,
I
maybe
don't know
that.
if I was passing for
They also
13.
probably didn't get paid enough to care. So,
It was looking back, those were probably just like teenagers from town who were
and so
like,
they were just like, "Whatever, give me the money." Yeah.
oh, this is my favorite. No, but they would talk to me about them. They would be like, this is my favorite. This one has good kills. I was very much feeling like the Randy and Scream vibes, you
Oh my
know?
God, cute.
Yeah. So the good memories. I miss. You know what? We don't need to bring back rental video stores per se, but just like a place that. Oh, I got a business idea. Open up a cafe, but like deck it out like a video rental store.
Yeah.
And you can like, and maybe just have like little areas where you can like play VHS tape and like, and just sort of have that retirement plan.
I think people would go to that.
I think so. Yeah.
No, they definitely would. They
But
definitely
I
would.
just call it, Be Kind Rewind Cafe or something. And yeah, I think it'd be awesome. Oh,
Cute.
I shouldn't be saying this on the video. People are going to take this idea.
We'll have proof that you came up with it.
That's true. Timestamp. Sue you. But yeah. No, and then I mean, Laurie Loomis. I just love these characters. Yeah, I was Michael Myers 3 years in a row for Halloween.
Oh my gosh.
My mom threw out the mask because it was in storage, but then it got all like mildewy.
Ah,
I was like, damn. It was a good one too. It wasn't like cheap looking. It was
bet it was. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's my scoop on Halloween.
Yeah.
Less about
Um,
Halloween and more about my it ends up just being a nostalgia gush.
yeah. I mean, yeah, Halloween is also iconic. It's another one that's been on a bunch of lists because it's just so like it just hits for so many people. Yeah, so that brings us to your last one, whichever
Oh wait,
one.
hold on, I gotta get prepared.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so your for number one influential horror movie is Poltergeist.
Poltergeist. And then hold on, I can't flash my tattoo, but yeah, no.
Right there.
You think I'm a fan?
Cover. Maybe a tiny
Oh wait,
maybe.
hold on.
What? 60.
Okay.
Are you tired of getting Poltergeist themed gifts from me yet?
Never. Never. Hold on. Okay. You think I'm a fan?
Yeah, I
Oh no,
love
poor
it.
Jason.
He got knocked over in the process.
He got downgraded. Yeah. So no surprise. Well, this is
No.
what you and I, if people don't know, this is how we bonded. All right,
Yep.
is over our love for Poltergeist.
This and Scream.
This and Scream. Well, I guess maybe Scream was first, and then we were like, "Oh my god, you love Poltergeist too?" And then it sort of just transitioned into.
It was like a big deal because, like, I find people that like the movie, but I don't find people that love it like we do. Like, I don't think that's as common. I think people respect it,
Yeah.
like it, but as far as like our like commitment to the fandom, like I don't think that's very common.
No. And then Dan gives me crap, my husband, because he's like, man, there aren't a lot of Indiana Jones fans out there. And I'm like, you have 5 movies, rides. And he's like, well, compared to Star Wars, I'm like, Poltergeist gets shit. We got a remake that was like fine.
It was mediocre at best.
Mediocre remake, but we did get a cool Hollywood Horror Nights, which I didn't get to go. Did you watch the walkthrough of it?
I didn't.
Go on YouTube.
Wait,
Just
from
type
what
in.
year? From last year?
No, it was like pre-COVID, I think.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, I'll find it.
it was after the remake came out, and they
Okay.
just did the Freelings house, and I was just like, can we bring this back? And I'll fly out to California. I don't care, just to do this.
Yeah, I would love to go to Halloween Horror Nights.
That would be fun.
One
I would
day.
have to. I would break my no haunted house rule just to go to that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm sure they did it great because they have the money. So
watch the
okay,
on YouTube. People brought cameras in.
Yeah, I'll find it.
But oh man, yeah. So I remember watching this for the first time. It was 1990. I want to say maybe 98, 99, probably like 98. And I remember getting ready to go to karate, and it was playing on TV, and I was eating mac and cheese. This is how like ingrained it is. I was eating mac and cheese, and I didn't get to finish the movie. I had to like figure. I think I had to go rent it because I had to leave to go to karate.
Oh,
but
okay.
it like ended around the time of like Bob, right, ripping his face off.
Oh yeah,
or Marty, not Bob, Marty,
or the washroom or whatever room it is.
Yeah, Marty ripping his face off. Where did I get Bob? I don't know, but
I was going with it. I couldn't remember his name either.
Yeah. I think
Sure.
Marty. Yeah, he was ripping his face off, and it was like around that. Yeah, so I was like, I gotta leave. This is crazy. And then I just remember being so obsessed. I'm like, what the hell happened? Was he okay? What the hell happened to this family? And then
yeah,
I think that's when enter Blockbuster Hollywood Video, whichever one I went to, and then just diving into all 3 from there. Just super obsessed. The sequels I love. The first one I think I've seen. I mean upwards of 50, 60 times probably, because there were like years where I would watch it like
just constantly,
like at least once a month, at least. If not once a week. I mean, I probably racked in some views just from like being like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, I've seen it a bunch too. I like I didn't own it for the longest time. And we drove to West Virginia for the Mothman Festival in 2022. And that was in September. So it was getting close to spooky season, and Walmart had these really cool sets in these red covers. And so they were like, they had so many. They had like the Universal monsters, and they had like, I mean, the range was great, but the covers were the little jackets that were like red and black. That's what colors they were.
Oh, cool.
And so I bought the Poltergeist set. So it has all 3 movies.
That's very cool. No, I don't really associate red with the movie. That's interesting.
No,
all
of them were
all
red.
The movies had that red. Okay.
Yeah, it was just like supposed to be like a spooky season thing.
That's I mean, it's still cool though.
No, it's super cool. If I had had all the money in the world, I would have bought all of them.
Get the whole library in that style.
Yeah, especially because the Universal Monsters is like my shit. But I had to have. I've never owned Poltergeist, so I was like, we got to remedy that. So
I got every version I can get my hands on.
I believe that. Well,
I had the DVD. I remember the first copy I had was one of those DVDs that sort of opened up, like it like was cardboard, and you had to unclip it, and it just opened up like that. And
Oh, yes,
you had to
yes,
like
yes.
clip it back together. You know,
Yep.
that was the first copy. I think I had one for the first one like that. I think 2 and 3 I had in like a double pack.
Yeah.
And then upgrading to they did a really nice Blu-ray upgrade for all of them. And then I think I have the 40th anniversary for that. The 40th 4K steelbook I have for the first one. I don't think there's 4Ks for the 2 and 3 yet.
Mhm.
But yeah, and I got to see it for the 40th really anniversary in theaters.
Yeah.
There's a video of me crying on the internet somewhere after having watched it. And of
Aw.
course, like there's all one asshole. He's like, "Wow, crying from the movie Grow Up." I was like, "Shut up."
Yes, how dare you be a human being with feelings and emotions and
I mean, I
connect
wasn't
them
like
to your media.
sobbing, but I was
Yeah.
like,
No, it makes me the first one makes me cry every time I watch it. That part
yeah,
um when she feels her, when she's like, "I felt
yeah,
it," like, that part Fs me up
chills every time.
every single time it happens. When she, like, and it's the same with, like, the scene with the, when the beast comes out and the mom's in the hallway and, like,
Hmm.
that whole scene, like, it always puts me on edge every single time I watch it. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like,
Yeah, chills every time. And I even think the smelling thing, I'm like, now as a parent, right? And that was the lens why I was crying. I was like, oh man, like, what would you do to get your kid back?
and
But the
the
smell
family
thing,
dynamic is what makes that movie,
yeah,
in my opinion, so good because it's really hard in a horror movie specifically to get an entire family that you care about, that you
yeah,
love, and you are, like, rooting for them, and, like, the entire family? No, that is
yeah.
not. There's usually, like, an annoying teen sibling that you're ready to bash their face in.
Well, but
There's
Dana's great.
usually like, yeah, and like a neglectful mom or a shitty dad, or there's usually like something, right? But they are just so, like, they're such a loving, cute little normal family that, like,
Yeah.
you can't help but care that bad things are happening to them.
Yeah, it sort of does what Halloween did, right? It sort of takes the haunted house story and brings it because this was, I think, one of the first of its time where they
Yeah,
really brought ghost stories into the suburbs because yeah, I know you have change languages around the time, but that was sort of in a big mansion,
that
right? It
was
really was
different. That was still like a haunted manor.
right. None of these
It
movies were
wasn't
really like
like,
the closest. Maybe like The Exorcist was like an apartment, right?
yeah,
And but not really. That's possession. It's not really a
that's a
haunting.
demon. That's not even really the same thing.
Right,
Yeah,
different subgenre, and then Rosemary's Baby, again, different subgenre.
different subgenre.
So, like, really taking a ghost story and putting it in the suburbs was fresh for the time.
Yeah,
And just like I love how big the movie feels while still being in like a 4-bedroom house. Like, it's like an adventure film as well, which is such the Spielberg of it all. It just feels so grand and intimate at the same time.
it's crazy.
It just works on so many levels. They go practical for most of the movie. I mean, obviously there's
It's
some special,
very, yeah, yeah.
but they go practical and like because even like when the stuff is spinning in Carol Ann's room, it's like real stuff, and they just sort of superimpose it. So it's like that's all real. I mean, obviously they're doing things to it, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, they use whatever tech they had at the time to just amplify the practical, which is why it works so well.
Yeah,
Obviously the spinning room with the mom is so I mean,
so
so
cool.
cool, so innovative.
It really is. It
Oh, yeah.
it's and it's because they did so much that way. And even though, yeah, it's definitely edited. The scenes with the beast in particular are the ones that always stick out to me as, like, I think those are maybe some of the most edited moments
Mhm.
because there's that, like, light and he's like floaty looking around him and he's like coming
Yeah.
out, and so there's like, but given how old this film is, it still holds up really well in my opinion, considering the timeline it came out, it being so unique for when it came out, and then given what
Yeah.
we've seen now in horror, like, it accomplished a lot in what hour and how long is this movie?
It's like an hour 40 something, right?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, like, they just I don't know. It's such a great movie. It's yeah.
Uh,
And this is on my influential list too. This is one of my number 1 most influential movies.
well,
I have the
it's so
tattoo, but mine's
ingrained.
covered up because I'm freezing.
Yeah.
Um,
We got our matching beasties.
mhm. Yeah, and you know what makes me so mad? So I have the tattoos around it are so dark, right? Because they're
Mhm.
just normal tattoos. And so like people will be like, "Oh, is this one old?" And I'm like, first of all, if it is, that's rude for you to say that. But I'm like, he's from the no, he's supposed to look like that because he's
Right.
faded, because he's from not the 2000s. Like, what do you, and he's a ghosty, and like, what do you mean? But it's because
Yeah.
all the other tattoos are so dark around it. And
Gotcha.
I'm just like, do you not know who this is?
Oh, I know. Well, people tend to think it's like a Grateful Dead reference or something, or
Oh,
like well, yeah, something like from one of the
yeah.
like album covers or something. But
Yeah. It's
I
so
was gonna say,
crazy that we both had that in common. That's weird. And
I
I
know.
I got my tattoo after I met you, of course. I didn't get mine until after the fact, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
only a matter of time because like I wanted to get something that was Poltergeist, but like I didn't want the TV and I didn't really know, like I didn't want people. I was like, well,
Hmm.
what else is there? And I think we even talked about it. And you're like, well, I have the beast. And I'm like, oh, I do that too. That's a good idea.
Well, yeah, the only other person I know that has a poltergeist tattoo other than you is that's famous actually. Mark Jacobs, the designer, on his back has Carol Ann in front of the tattoo. Like you said, like that's sort of like the one you would think people would get, and
Yeah.
that's
And
the
I
one he
didn't want
has.
that on my body.
No, I mean you could always. I mean, there's the clown, there's the tree, there's.
I've seen the clown. I didn't see any of the tree. I did not want the clown. That is my intro to hating clowns. No thanks. Good on that. But I, I love monsters, and so like it just made sense getting it because I've only had mine for 2 years now.
Hmm.
Just I
Oh,
think just
when
coming up
you
on
got it when I
2 years.
met, so yeah, so because I knew you
I
about a
got it
year
2
before I
summers.
joined.
Yeah, I got it 2 summers ago. It was post-divorce. I
Yeah.
think it was the first summer. It was just me and Oliver. I think so.
Oh
It's been
yeah.
about 2 years. I'll probably get the memory on my Facebook soon
Hmm.
because I got that and my Wendigo at the same time.
Oh wow, wow. So it was like
I was
summertime
there
you got it, right?
forever.
You said it was the summertime you got it?
Yeah.
20, yeah. I'm trying to think. I was trying to do the math. Yeah, because I got mine in summertime. It'd be really wild if we sort of got it like around the
I'm
same.
gonna well, when the memory comes up, I'll share. I will look and see because like I definitely
Yeah.
like it was definitely in the summer.
It was like I think I got mine August of so if you got it around August, that'd be funny. I got it August of 2010.
You know what? I think I did get it close to August because I think when we went to Mothman the first weekend in September, it was still relatively new.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look and see. But anyway, I
Yeah,
digress.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, big Poltergeist fans over here at
I know. I actually now it's funny. I'm gonna just do a quick little Google while we're talking because there was supposed to be a Poltergeist TV show,
I
uh,
remember us talking about that.
and that there was like rumors. Yeah, the only articles I'm seeing from last November, an article from Screen Rant.
That's it.
I think people are just comparing. I saw the TV glow with Poltergeist, so that's no news. Um, so I don't think we. I think MGM has. I think it's going to be Amazon. There's
We have
no.
to cover that if we're
Oh,
gonna.
100%. I don't. Yeah, like literally, like.
Did you see that they're doing a prequel to? And I'm only bringing this up because it just came up a second ago. Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
What?
Apartment 7, right? Or
Yeah, I got some opinions.
I haven't watched. I didn't watch the trailer yet. The trailer came out.
No. I just looked at the first look image and read the article.
Oh, okay, but no
And
trailer.
then, did you watch Arcadian yet? Arcadian?
No, no.
Hurry up and
I think it was.
watch it.
I know I have to. Well, no, you texted me. You were watching it last night, right?
It's yes. We
So
finished it last night.
yeah, you mentioned me. I was like, oh, I'm like 5 episodes deep into anime, and it's too late now. I can't just start the whole
I
movie.
know.
I'll
So
watch.
let's wrap up so you can go watch it. I want to
Yeah,
talk
I mean,
about it. Nobody I know has seen it. I'm the only one so far. Kat really wants to watch it, but she hasn't had time. I don't think Tasha's been able to watch it yet. And I'm like, Steve, gotta watch this. We can
yeah, I'm
do
gonna watch it. I'll watch it before bed.
it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Anyway.
anyway, yeah. Anyway, I don't have to keep gushing about Poltergeist. But yeah, no,
Poltergeist. We love it.
yeah, no, we'll definitely cover the show if and when we finally get some
It
movement
gets
on it,
released. Yeah. No, for
you know.
sure. For sure.
And Mike Flanagan makes it.
Oh, hey, we manifested The Exorcist. Not The Exorcist.
No, yeah, he's doing the
Yeah, The
Exorcist.
Exorcist. It sounded wrong when I said it out loud. He's doing The Exorcist.
Just give him everything.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Honestly, genuinely, it's
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
fine. But anyway, but yeah, okay. Well, that's your list then. X, The Haunting, The Shining, Halloween, and Poltergeist.
Yeah. Pretty basic, kind of. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
know when Tasha did mine, she was like, some of these I didn't expect to be on here. And I'm like, well, mostly
Yeah,
Werewolves Within. That one really threw her. She's like, you have a horror comedy on this list? I'm like, look, that's a good movie. I like it.
yeah, yeah.
And the reason it's on the influential is because it has really opened me up to giving horror comedies a chance when I wouldn't before.
Oh, okay.
So,
It just has to hit you with the right tone.
yes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think you're right. It's sort of you don't want to be like, yeah, you can't lean too much into the
It can't
comedy.
be too comedy or I'm out, man. I'm
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
And also, I think werewolves and creature features are really great middle grounds for horror comedies anyway, because
Mhm.
they're not always super. Like I laughed a lot in Arcadia, not like at it, but just there's moments where I was like, like that kind of
Yeah.
thing, because it just works with creature features. I feel like in general,
Sure, sure.
it's a much easier combination. I think.
Yeah. Well, especially with Arcadia, I mean, you also have like Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch it.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh
gonna
no,
go
he was
see.
so good in Long Legs too.
I'm
I
gonna go
mean,
see that this weekend. I think Melinda and I are gonna go
you'll be
see it.
happy because there was I remember in this is a Long Legs video obviously, but you had mentioned a concern about it does it doesn't do what you were worried about. If I was going to say, yeah, one of your worries, it doesn't do that. I won't tell you what because I don't want to spoil anything. But it was something that you were like, I wish this was blank, or I wish this doesn't blank.
I know what you're talking about because, yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, we could talk. Yeah, I'm curious what you think I'm referencing to, but
Okay,
I don't
no,
want to spoil anything
after
for
I
you.
hit in record, or
Yeah.
you hit it because you do the buttons. But um, anyway, well, yeah. So that's Steve's influential horror. There's an entire playlist of these movies. I mean, these movies. What am I saying? What is
These
this
videos.
called? The show. There's tons of videos. That's the word. Thank you. Life's hard. I'm on like day 2 of pain, so I'm like my brain is a little scrambled. Yeah, so there's an entire playlist. We have had authors, I'm pretty sure at least a filmmaker,
Mhm.
general horror fans, other podcasters, YouTubers. Please go check out Influential. It's like the baby of the channel. It was like the first series ever done on Voices, and it's such a great time to talk to people about their influentials. And I just scheduled a bunch of them today, actually. So I'm really excited to have more people in.
Yeah.
If you are someone that has interacted with us before, I say that on purpose, and we interact or we know who you are and you're interested in being on the show, feel free to leave a comment or DM us. We're always open to guests as long as you're not a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, or a transphobe.
There you go. Yeah,
Don't
I like
even
to put
waste
that
our
out
time.
there.
Yeah, don't even waste our time.
Keep that in mind.
But anyway, on a happy note, when we share this video, when it goes live, we're already past the 900 milestone, but we June was a crazy month, so we're finally getting to our 900 giveaway, which is going to be a Fandango gift card, enough to get at least hopefully 2 movie tickets, depending on where you go, I guess.
Yeah.
And so we're going to post this video on Twitter, and then the way to enter is to share that video once it has been posted. We'll put details when it gets up. But otherwise, yeah, that's all I have for this episode of Influential Horror with Steve.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on the show.
I guess you can come back later on if you want to. And yeah, that's all I have for this episode. So hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend coming up, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.